Charter California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Roberto Uranga. He is the president of the Long Beach City Community College District, also immediate past president of, it's called the Association of
Community College Trustees.
Which is quite an honor. You had been president last year, so I know you're a very busy man. I want to speak with you, sir, about the California budget. The last few years have been very difficult for community colleges. A couple of years ago, highest tuition fee increase in the nation. But it looks like that the community college system, as well as UC and CSU, is going to get a 5% general fund increase. How are you feeling about that?
Feeling great.
No doubt.
We've been turning away students for the last couple of years because our programs and classes have been impacted. We've had to have course reductions over the last 3-4 years. Since we started on this downfall, we've had to close about 80 to 100,000 classes,
right?
Which makes
devastating.
Well, it makes challenges for students to want to complete their programs because the classes aren't being offered. So we're looking forward to it.
So 5% is a nice bump, but I can't imagine that it fills the gap of the last 4 or 5 years of cuts.
No, it does not. We still have budget challenges, and we still are looking at reductions in courses, and we're still looking at programs that we need to reorganize, restructure to make them more efficient. And we're looking at the fact that students are going to want to continue with their education, and they're being challenged because the course offerings aren't there. And this budget will provide us with at least a stopgap measure to produce that.
I remember in the last several months there had been a vote to cut, I think, 17 programs at Long Beach City. I believe it wound up being dropped to 11. Is there and there was a lot of consternation about that.
Yes.
Is there a chance that some of those programs could come back now?
Okay, well, see, there's a lot of misinformation that's going on out there on what's happened there. Basically, these programs are certificated programs or diplomas. That means that individuals who are enrolled in those programs get about 18 units worth of credit, get a certificate or a diploma, and then can use that to get a job. What's been happening in those programs it was called discontinuance. What's happening with those programs was that some of those 11 programs that we looked at, many, in fact, the majority of the students enrolled in those programs weren't getting diplomas or certificates. They weren't completing the 18 units. So what we did basically is just to phase them out. The classes are still being offered. There are classes in welding, carpentry, photography, interior design. They're still there. What's not there is the capacity to get a certificate or a diploma on it because people weren't just going for it.
Is that a cost savings?
Definitely.
Why? If you're still offering the classes?
It's because it's not the classes the advanced classes that these students will be going into. They're not being instructed anymore. So it's a saving of $3.5 million a year.
Is this happening throughout the system?
Every community college has had its issues with programs and have had to discontinue a variety of programs all over.
I want to ask about another program that LBCC has been proposing. It's quite innovative and quite controversial. It's a way to address the question of course cuts, and it deals with intersession classes. That would be winter break, summer break. Long Beach City is the chief sponsor of a bill that has been put forth into legislation by Assemblyman Das Williams out of the Santa Barbara area. And that bill would allow community colleges to offer classes during the intersession period at cost. Which is, about 3 times higher than what the normal fees would be. It could only occur, as I understand it, if those classes being offered intersession were impacted in the regular session. Where do we stand with this bill? Because there's a lot of people that have been talking about it.
Well, at the present time, the bill has passed the Assembly Appropriations Committee. It is now at the Senate. Appropriations Committee be reviewed there.
What do you think about it? And I ask you specifically because you are involved nationally in the community college system, so your scope is much broader. I'm not trying to criticize others, but you know what I'm getting at. You have a very broad scope.
And it's a growing concern across the country in regards to cutbacks in programs and in classes, and California is at the forefront of addressing those needs by this bill. It's AB 955, by the way.
But what's your sense, though? I mean, Many have said this is creating a two-class system, and community colleges are supposed to be accessible to all.
Yeah. And they are. Because we're looking at the fact that what 955 does is provides its students with financial aid. For example, many requirements.
Financial aid would be available.
Oh yes, financial aid is available, and in fact, many financial aid programs and packets require that students have continuous enrollment in their coursework. So if there is a break in service, for example, summer, they're not enrolled in summer classes, their financial aid is jeopardized. So what they can do now is take summer classes, use their financial aid to enroll in those classes and continue on with their education. Now again, one of the things that you did mention is the fact that these classes are only offered if programs during the regular year are impacted and are full, and we would have to turn students away. These students, on the other hand, can take a class during the intersession, the winter or the summer, and get those classes done. And it opens up seats, by the way.
Right, yeah, that's what I would say. Couldn't one argue that if there are intersession course offerings, it would be a money savings for the student, because if they couldn't get those classes during the year because of impact, they could graduate much more quickly.
Exactly.
And so
and that's what it's all about. It's about finishing what you start. And this would provide them with an opportunity to accelerate their educational goals, finish sooner, and being able to complete their programs. The two-tier system, there's always going to be that issue in terms of students who are not on financial aid, who can afford to take those classes.
I mean, you heard, I'm sure, what happened with Santa Monica City College when they offered a system. It wasn't intersession, I believe. It was going to be a year.
It was the same. It was intersession.
It was. So why did that get so hammered?
Because that one was a broad, general course offering for all classes, regardless of the impact that was happening during the course of the year. What this bill proposes is that if an English class were impacted, no room to take any classes during the regular sessions in the summer, in the fall, or in the winter, or in the spring. They can take it in the intersession only if it's impacted in full. And the good thing about this thing is, although that there's this issue about being able to have students who can afford to go. This has a sunset. It sunsets in 2020, so it's a 6-year experiment, if you want, to have colleges reach their goals. The Obama's goal of 20 million degrees and certificates by the year 2020. So
I want to ask you about another issue that's been percolating in the community college system. That's adult education. There had been a proposal by Governor Brown that would have immediately shifted all responsibility for adult education from K-12 to community colleges. There was going to be some money that would follow, but not as much. That's the point. But what's the punchline?
The punchline is that at the present time it's dormant.
It's on hold.
It's on hold. Community college, we're very concerned with that because it would have been an unfunded mandate for us to provide.
Some money would have followed.
More like around 40% of that money. It's something like out of the $100 million that is being given to the K-12 system right now for adult ed, community colleges would get $40 million.
So it's a metaphor. I mean, that's the metaphor for it.
Yeah.
But what's your notion?
It's not fully funded.
Right, but here's the idea. K-12 for people who have not reached majority. Adult education is for people who have reached majority. It feels as if it should be in the community college system, no?
Well, that's the feel for it, but again, community colleges are funded differently, and they're accredited differently. Community colleges are accredited by the number of diplomas and certificates they give. Adult ed provides opportunities for individuals who may need a GED or are looking for skills trainings, stuff that they could get through a regional occupational program or a regional occupational center.
Well, we'll have to see what happens.
Where they get certificates.
It's still on the radar.
It's on the radar, and I think that there is a way that we can work with that. There's always a way.
He is Roberto Uranga. My name is Brad Pomerance. You are watching Charter California Edition. It's Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Luann Bynum. She is the Executive Vice President at Long Beach City College. She focuses on economic development, which doesn't seem as if it would be the purview of a community college, but boy, I am so wrong on that point.
You are.
So wrong,
yes,
and that's okay. And so explain to me how community colleges, and use LBCC as an example, play a part in economic development.
Well, for California, for the state of California, the community college system has three primary missions. It's transfer, career technical education, and the third is economic and workforce development. So we, in essence, become an engine for economic development in the state. There's 112 community colleges,
yes, there is.
72 districts.
Right.
All of them, to some extent, do some level of workforce development. I think very few of them do true economic development. So,
and here we are, and LBCC does.
Yeah.
And we've known LBCC to be one of the premier community colleges in the state. And I'm proud to talk to you about three areas where you're focusing on that economic development side. Tell us about the Small Business Development Center at LBCC.
Well, the center's been in place since 2005. It's funded by the Small Business Administration. So we have
federal U.S.
U.S. Small Business Administration. It's a competitive grant. We have a program that's got a value of about $7 million. It has to be cash matched. So we get about $3.5 million from the SBA. We serve Los Angeles County, Ventura County, Santa Barbara County. Los Angeles has the largest concentration of small businesses in the country, close to a little under 500,000.
So you don't have to be in the Long Beach kind of sphere of influence.
No. I mean, we are regional. We have a regional footprint, of course, with the SBDC and a few other programs. But we
How'd you wind up with those three counties? I would have expected maybe Orange County or...
Well, that's the SBA carved up the state of California, and that's the Los Angeles Regional District, so they have a district director.
That's what you do.
That's what we do.
And so explain how someone who's watching today, living in those three counties, can turn to LBCC Small Business Development Center if they're looking for assistance.
Well, what they can do is contact us. We'll refer them to their local SBDC center. There's 8 centers located in those three counties. There's 30 affiliate partners that can provide information. But it's a wonderful opportunity for businesses, whether they're startups or have already been in business for a few years and just need to take it up to the next level. It's free consulting. It's very low-cost training about how to run your business, and so all of the components about business, financials, marketing, HR, those kinds of things.
And grants as well, or loans?
What we do is we help them package loans, and we put them in, and we connect them with loan providers.
So really an invaluable service, no doubt.
It's very valuable. Most people don't know about it.
One story that really sparks you and thought, wow, we really made a difference?
Well, we have Long Beach businesses here located locally that have done some amazing things. One of them is Stefano's Pizza, and they actually ended up becoming a Goldman Sachs scholar as well. But,
well, perfect transition. So let's talk about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Initiative, a new program, relatively speaking.
It's relatively new. We started that program in 2010. The Goldman Sachs Foundation out of New York has a $500 million commitment across the country. So they're running 8 programs around the country with community colleges to train literally 10,000 small businesses. It's an amazing program. It's
only 8 in the nation, and Long Beach is one of them.
Yeah, we were the second site to launch in 2010. Well, we had the SBDC network.
I see.
And I think that provided an attractive platform for them to know that, you know, it's a very labor-intensive program. It's a 100-hour program, but the scholars,
for the participants
in Goldman Sachs, and it's free to them.
Wow.
There's a pretty significant screening process, but they have to have $450,000 to $4 million in revenues, be in business for at least 2 years.
So explain, for example, what Stefano's did.
Stefano's came in, and they've got Stefano's Pizza, and one of the ideas, the business owners have to put together a growth plan.
Sure.
So one of the ideas, people were coming in and buying the sauce for Stefano's, and so I can't remember which cohort it was, but the business owner worked in the program, put a growth plan together, actually expanded her market by putting her sauce online, and now is very successfully selling products online through Stefano's. And she's hired probably, I can't recall, but it was something like 7 or 10 employees since the last time I talked to her.
I mean, this is very significant, especially in an economy that's, looking to expand its employment workforce. How can we apply, and who's eligible to apply, to participate in the Goldman Sachs program?
Well, the Goldman Sachs program has a website. I think you're probably
yes, we are.
Here.
Yes.
Applicants should contact get the information on the website. Somebody in our office will work with them to help them fill out an application. There's an application process,
and you don't have to be a
process.
student at LBCC. I mean, this is a separate.
No,
these are
for business owners and not-for-credit programs.
Now, I think one of the most exciting developments, recent developments, is the recent grant through the Kauffman Foundation, the Innovation Fund America program, because that really is a new program. And are you the second online or third?
We're actually the second site. Kauffman committed $1 million to Lorain Community College, who has had a program.
In Ohio?
It's in Ohio, so it's an early stage startup focus for businesses that are early stage. So before they get to venture capitalists or angels, there's a need for those kinds of businesses that are typically high tech, have products or proof of concept that they want to bring to market. Those are the target. That's the target audience for us. And so our goal is to fund about 20 to 25 of them in the next year. We'll provide $25,000 grants and $100,000 grants to the business owners. There's a peer-to-peer mentoring process that goes on. There's educational wraparound pieces to it, but it fills the continuum from your startup business. We can take you in the SBDC. Or a somewhat more mature, we can take you in the SBDC. The Goldman Sachs program allows those businesses that have been around for a long time.
You can graduate from SBDC
to
Goldman Sachs.
To put together a growth plan to increase revenues. And then the third piece is, of course, the access to capital that a lot of these startup high-tech companies have. And so we're looking to just kind of fill the gaps of the business development services that our regional economy needs. And so this will be an LA regional program.
Yeah, so have you started taking applications for?
We haven't started taking applications yet. We're in the partnership development phase.
What does that mean?
That means that we are bringing on funders to work with us
Kauffman gave $1 million.
Kauffman gave $1 million to Lorain for technical assistance for us and 2 other community colleges.
Okay, so you are looking for more funders as well.
So we're looking for funders. LA's got an amazing entrepreneurship ecosystem. There's probably 30 to 40 small incubators, and there are a lot of funders to be able to support those incubators. So we're going to tap into that.
I hear you. So when do you expect that we can look toward LBCC to apply through the Innovation Fund?
Probably in the next 6 weeks.
Okay, so this is happening.
Yeah,
so by the time this...
Yeah, we're in execution phase. It's just we have to get all of our ducks in a row and make sure that we've got the right kinds of profile companies.
So I can't imagine I'm the only person that's surprised when I hear that LBCC is doing the great work that it's doing. You're on our program now, you're getting the word out, but how do you really get the word out that you have these 3 innovative programs that really can make a difference?
Well, we've got marketing tied to it. Community colleges typically are not very good at marketing and outreach. We have problems like that as well, but we've got professional people on staff that we brought on the last couple of years that help us do that. We have a very significant outreach program for our Goldman Sachs program. So probably half of the funds that support our office staff are geared towards recruitment and outreach and alumni support.
So how many can participate in these programs?
Well, with the Goldman Sachs program, we have cohorts of about 40 students each time, and so we run 3 programs a year. We're actually going to be running 5 programs a year next year because we're going to be the Southern California regional hub for Goldman Sachs.
And when you say students, again, it's not the traditional student.
No, it's not.
It's not the LBCC student that's looking to matriculate to Cal State Long Beach or wherever. It's the adult.
It's the adult, and we're looking for student success with our adult population, although we do have a youth entrepreneurship program, and we support students at Cal State Long Beach and Long Beach City College that are doing business development.
You must love what you do.
I do.
Her name is Luann. Her name is Luann Bynum. She's the Executive Vice President of Long Beach City College. I'm Brad Pomerance. This is Charter California Edition.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you. That's great.
Welcome back to Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest, Gerrie Schipske, she is a member of the Long Beach City Council. She's also a declared candidate for the mayor of Long Beach. That election will be held in 2014.
It will.
And I want to speak with you about some reform proposals that you have put out. I've received them, I've reviewed them. On a much bigger scale, before we talk about the specifics, why is it that you have become someone that is so aligned with reform? What do you see generally? And I say that with all the love that's intended.
No, I know. I think, well, let's see, we can account for it. I'm firstborn in my family.
Oh, right.
I'm Catholic and I'm Capricorn.
And you're guilt, and you got a lot of guilt.
And so we like rules.
Right.
Rules give a lot of structure, but most importantly, I think because I've taught government, I've been on both sides of the rail, I really see how important it is that often our constituents question what we do because they don't have the information. And often we don't have the information. So I think it helps everyone that, the best disinfectant is sunlight. And the more we can put it on it, the more we can assure people that when our decisions are being made, they're being made in the best interest. And I think voters really want to know that.
So let's talk about a couple of your proposals that focus on the awarding of contracts, the approval of development, and you're wanting to ensure that anyone who receives a development contract, who is awarded a contract, not have given an undisclosed contribution. Right. Talk to us about the whole notion of disclosed and undisclosed contributions.
Well, the concept is both on the state and federal level right now, a contractor or someone bidding for a contract may not make a political contribution. In the city of Los Angeles, the city of San Francisco, you can't do that either. In Long Beach, we can.
Oh, really?
And the difficulty to me is that if you are getting ready to vote to award a contract or approve a development, the voters need to be assured that you didn't do it because that company and their officers and their wives and husbands bundled up and got you money for whatever you're trying to do. And the best way is to say, no, let's not do it. However, with Citizens United, there may be some concern about absolute bans, because the other bans were already in place, but absolute bans. So what I'm saying is limit it to $50. It's nothing. It's nothing. But make certain that before an elected member of our council or the mayor gets ready to act on an issue, that they publicly disclose. I have to disclose before I vote on this, I accepted the following amount of money.
So are you saying that they can still contribute
a nominal.
Only $50.
Right. If we can't ban it outright, and I think we should, but if we can't because of legal reasons, then what I'm saying is that then there has to be full disclosure at the time of voting. Because here's the problem, you can't find out when a vote's going on where the money came from. You have to go on a campaign finance report, you have to find the person, you've got to be able to identify where they're from.
Does Long Beach have restrictions on how much money can be donated, period?
Yes, absolutely. And that's during our campaigns. For mayor, I can only accept $750. We have one of the strictest limitations, but it's $750.
And for council?
It's $350.
What if, and I'm just playing it out, could you not say, let the company give the maximum, but still disclose?
Well, I would say if we're not allowed, I would like to lower the level, because in LA they have absolutely banned it, and the voters did this. They did this 2 years ago.
After Citizens United.
After Citizens United.
I wonder what would happen, which of course is the Supreme Court case, which essentially said they equated financial contributions to speech.
Which is really still debatable as to whether or not that is. However, so understanding that from a lawyer's perspective, that if you can't ban it, then make sure it has to be mandatorily disclosed. So my colleagues have argued, well, no, listen, it's on our campaign reports. Well, that's not quite accurate, because sometimes money will be given in between a reporting period of time, and you wouldn't know that. So I think it's incumbent on the person who took the money to disclose it.
And that's what happened with, was it Prop 30 and Prop 32, these late donations against Prop 34, Prop 32 from an Arizona corporation, be that as it may.
The other curious problem that's developed, and I have to say I voted for it, and having now been a part of it, I just go, this was not right. We have office holder accounts, which means office holder accounts means we can raise money constantly. And there's something wrong about that.
Why?
Because that money can be used to, if we get invited to events and we don't want to spend personal money, it can't be used for campaigning. But here's the catch on
Please.
it. The contribution is larger than what they can give us when we're running for office. So I can only get $350 as a council person when I run for council, but I can get $500 for my office holder account. There's something wrong. For instance, what happened when we were discussing the medical marijuana issue, there were a lot of people on that city council who got $500 from several of the clinics. That's wrong, and that was never disclosed while they were getting ready to vote.
Well, would you support keeping the ability to donate to an office holder account with disclosure?
Well, yeah, but I do think there's something problematic about perpetual fundraising.
I hear you, and maybe I offer too much reverence to those that are elected, but I feel as if you're going to run for office, especially in a city like Long Beach, a very large city, it's a part-time position.
Yeah.
You have to hold down a variety of jobs to make ends meet.
Right.
I don't want to take away from you the ability to do your job. And if you can't raise money for an office holder account, it's limiting.
Well,
arguably.
It is. It depends on what you use the money for. So, I mean, I think it should be discussed, and that was one of the reasons.
So at least these are starting points.
I'm trying to bring this out for discussion because I think we need to look at these things. We've worked with it. We've had this up to $10,000. That's the other thing. We can raise up to $10,000 in our office holder accounts per year. That's a good chunk of change in an off-election cycle. So I think we need to look at it and what impact is it having on us.
I also want to ask you about board appointments. In a lot of ways, it's a great way for someone to get a look at city government.
Right.
People will often grow from board appointments to city council or other positions. You have some concerns, though, that there may be a little payola.
Well, I don't want to say that currently that's occurring. But again, the voters for the city of Los Angeles, and I know San Francisco does this, they don't allow anyone who's going to be appointed to a commission or who serves on a commission to make a contribution because they don't want any semblance that I gave you money, that's why you appointed me, or I keep giving you money, that's why you're going to reappoint me. I just think the voters are at a point in our system that they want to be assured that the playing field is level for them. They don't give us money, but they should have the same input as someone who does.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. But look, it's expensive to run for office.
It is.
It's expensive to run for office in a city the size of Long Beach or Los Angeles. Why do we want to exclude a group of people that may be bright, intelligent, active participants just because they happen to have written a check to Gerrie Schipske for only $350? I mean, how corrupting can that be? And I'm just playing it out.
Well, it's $350, and then it can be $500 for each of the years that I'm on council. So that kind of adds up. And then in the interim, which has happened, if I decide I'm going to declare for
Assembly,
a statewide office or
right.
something, you can start putting money that far exceeds anything we get in council. I just think we need to relook at this, and I'm not questioning the motivations of anyone that currently serves, but I think it's done well in other cities, and I think Long Beach might want to look at some of these reforms and say, hey, do we need to do it here?
So where do we go from here? Because look, these proposals, they're out there. It was in an email blast. I printed it out. I read it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's done it. You've been talking about good government.
Oh no, I've already started to hear some rumblings amongst electeds.
But maybe that's a good thing. I mean,
it's good. It's good.
So are you looking to use this as part of a platform to run for mayor, or are you looking to put this to the vote? I mean, does it need to go to the voters, the city council?
Yes to the first.
Yes, all of it.
Yeah, no, and in fact, Chuck Reed, when he ran for mayor of San Jose, actually ran on a platform of 39 reforms, and I was just looking at his things the other day, and he really has managed to get most of the reforms through as mayor. I think the mayor should set the tone. I would hope that the council would take these reforms and look at them and see those that we can adopt, and if they can't, then I think we have to take it to the voters.
What about this as a reform? These individuals need an office holder account because they need to collect they have so many part-time jobs and they need to somehow make ends meet. This is the city of Long Beach, over 500,000 people. Why not make it a full-time council, full-time mayor, full-time pay?
It is a full-time mayor, and the mayor does get a full-time salary.
Okay, what about council?
So does his chief of staff. The council is not in the charter as a part-time position, but we are funded part-time. It is a full-time job. The difficulty as an incumbent from council arguing on behalf of let's increase the salary is like, oh great, well I wouldn't be the recipient of that, but I will tell you two things need to be addressed, and that is you get as good as you can when you've got a part-time council. You either get people who can self-fund or self-employed, retired, or who have to scramble and work several jobs.
Gerrie, thanks for joining us. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thank you for watching Charter California Edition. Yeah, I have